In June of 2021, when the Walt Disney Company made its initial announcement that Rachel Zegler was cast to play the pivotal role of the iconic Disney princess Snow White in the live-action remake of the animated classic from 1937, I don't think that the Walt Disney Company knew the problems that were going to be on their hands. Yes, Rachel Zegler, every single time she opens her mouth, seems to create more and more issues for the Walt Disney Company. But the premiere of the live-action Snow White starring Rachel Zegler is just around the corner. So it's getting ready to premiere in different locations worldwide, and one of those premieres actually had to be canceled based on some things that Rachel Zegler has said. Oh no, what's going on with the snow? Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Rachel Zegler is creating more controversy, more issues, and more challenges for the Walt Disney Company, as now they've actually had to cancel one of the upcoming premiere showings of Snow White, the remake starring Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. Before we get into the story, though, please do click that like button. We thank every single one of you for being here. It does help out the channel so much. But now, let's get into this cancellation of a Snow White premiere. I can't believe this is actually happening on Disney's watch. This is crazy. Out of that Park Place, Disney cancels UK Snow White premiere amid backlash and fears of negative Rachel Zegler press will limit her to tightly controlled press events. Oh my goodness. This is by Mr. Montanaro. And there she is in all her glory, Rachel Zegler with her beautiful Prince Farquaad haircut. Disney's live-action Snow White is shaping up to be one of the studio's most troubled releases in recent memory, and now a major red flag has appeared. The company has canceled its planned Snow White UK premiere, reportedly due to concerns over backlash and controversy. Instead of a star-studded event in London, Disney will hold a small number of tightly controlled press events, an unusual move for a film with a $200 million plus budget and a massive marketing campaign. Let's take a look at this real quick. There is Rachel Zegler as Snow White, surrounded by CGI dwarf monstrosities. Yeah. This decision suggests that Disney fully understands how negatively the film has been received and is now taking steps to limit the damage as much as possible ahead of its March 21st release. Why is Disney skipping its UK premiere? According to sources, Disney is concerned about a backlash tied to the changes made to the film, as well as the public perception of lead actress Rachel Zegler. Instead of the usual high-profile Snow White UK premiere, which would have taken place at Leicester Square, the studio has scaled down media appearances carefully, selecting only a handful of press outlets to cover the film. This suggests Disney does not want to risk open-ended media interactions that could lead to more controversy. She looks so scared there. If Snow White were a highly anticipated blockbuster, Disney would be doing everything possible to build excitement. Instead, they're avoiding potential negative reactions from audiences, which implies they know the public sentiment isn't in their favor. Then, of course, there's the Rachel Zegler factor. Zegler has been widely criticized for her comments dismissing the 1937 classic, referring to it as dated and describing the prince as a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. She also has expressed open disapproval of the film's original themes, particularly the romance, saying that her version of Snow White isn't dreaming about true love, but is instead focused on leadership. These remarks have alienated longtime Disney fans, and rather than helping market the film, Zegler has become a liability. The fact that Disney is reportedly minimizing her press appearances strongly suggests the studio doesn't trust her to handle interviews without further damaging the film's reputation. Another sign of trouble for Snow White. This latest development comes as box office projections for the film continue to plummet. They continue to decline. They're going down. The movie was initially expected to open with $63 to $70 million domestically, a disappointing figure for a film of this scale. However, now updated projections have it dropping even lower to $53 million, with the low end estimates at $48 million. Considering its budget is rumored to have ballooned up to $300 million due to extensive reshoots, Snow White would need to gross at least $600 to $700 million globally just to break even, an increasingly unlikely outcome. Disney's recent marketing strategy has also shifted the focus away from Zegler. Trailers and promotional spots have cut her screen time significantly, while more emphasis has been placed on Gal Gadot's Evil Queen. Even a recent TV spot relied heavily on footage from the 1937 animated classic, an attempt to tap into nostalgia despite the film deviating heavily from the original story. Complications from the Middle Eastern conflict. Further adding to the film's troubles, Snow White has unintentionally become part of a larger controversy due to the involvement of its two lead actresses. Zegler and Gadot have expressed opposing views on the ongoing Middle Eastern conflict, leading to calls for boycotts from different groups on both sides. While Disney likely did not anticipate the movie being caught up in global tensions, the situation has created another distraction from the film itself. The studio is now in a difficult position, unable to market the film without stepping into an increasingly complicated situation. A major red flag for Snow White. Disney canceling the Snow White UK premiere is not a routine decision. It's a clear signal that the company expects backlash and is working to minimize negative press. If the film were tracking well and audience sentiment was positive, Disney would be celebrating it with large-scale, highly publicized events. Instead, they are choosing to limit exposure, a move that only reinforces the perception that Snow White is in serious trouble. Oh, look at that mouth of hers. At this stage, the studio appears to be in full damage control mode. Between plummeting box office projections, the decision to sideline Zegler, and the film's growing list of controversies, Snow White is shaping up to be one of Disney's most financially and publicly disastrous releases in years. Oof, oof, and oof. Yeah, I don't know about you. I'm not particularly looking forward to this version of Snow White. I plan on watching the animated classic the day that it releases and not going to see it in theaters. I'm not even going to review this movie because we know what happens in Snow White, or at least what is supposed to happen. So I don't really care what happens in this new version because it's not the real Snow White. Rachel Zegler, in my opinion, was miscast from the very beginning because she doesn't meet the character qualifications for what Snow White is supposed to be. She looks a lot like Snow White, but her character is nothing like Snow White. So those are my issues with it. What are your issues with it? What other issues do you have? And what other comments do you have? Yes, sound off in the comments below. And of course, like this video before you do head out the door today. Thank you so much for being here. If you're not already, please consider subscribing to the channel and do click that notification bell. When you click it, you stick it to the YouTube algorithm and you get notified of all of our uploads here at Follow the Bradley's Fun. Thank you so much for watching this edition of Fedora Finds with me, Ron E. Bradley. And until next time, we will see ya real soon. Bye, everybody. Ciao.